Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's tutorial, I'll be showing you step by step how I created this beautiful mini bubble dress. It's beginner friendly, and if that sounds like something you want to learn, make sure you stick around and watch this video till the end. Let's jump right into it. So the first thing I did was to grab my pattern paper, and I'll be using this same pattern paper to cut both the front and the back. So starting with my neckline, I'll be using a neckline of 3 inches for the depth, and for the width I'll be using a neckline of 6 inches. So my original neckline, which is 3 inches times 2, that makes it 6 inches. So basically I'm using a 6 inches width and 3 inches depth for my neckline. And after doing that, I'm going to connect my neckline with a curve. So the next thing I'm going to take is my vertical measurement. So from my shoulder line, which is my border line, I'm going to come down by my chest line. So for the sake of this dress, I'll be using 8.5 inches. My original chest line is 8 inches, but I'll be coming down by 8.5 inches for ease around the armhole. So after taking that, I'm going to take my waistline, which is 17 inches, and from my waistline I'm going to come down by 10 inches, which is my hip line. I'm also going to take the full length of my dress, which is 33 inches. Please note that depending on the length of your dress, whatever length you want for your dress, please add an extra 6 inches. This is for the bubble effect. So like I said earlier, the full length of my dress is 33 inches, but I added an extra 6 inches for the bubble effect, and that makes it a total of 39 inches. So my new full length now is 39 inches. I'm going to put that down, and I'm going to repeat all these measurements on the other side, and I'm going to connect all my points with a straight line. So after doing this, I'm going to label all my lines. I'm going to label this the chest line, the waistline, the hip line, and the full length of my dress. So the next thing I'm going to do is to get the back neckline. Remember I said we'll be using this pattern to cut out both the front and the back piece. So I'll be taking out the back neckline of 1.5 inches depth, and I'll be maintaining the 6 inches for the width. I'm going to connect this with a curve as well. Yeah, I'm going to connect. So this is the back neckline and this is the front neckline. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to get my round measurement. So starting with my chest line, I'm going to take my round bust measurement divided by 4. In my case I have 9.5 inches. I'm going to put that down, and then on the waist, there's really no need to put down your waist measurement, since this is going to be like an A-line dress and it's going to be a free dress. So on the hip line, I'm going to divide my round hip measurement by 4. In my case I have 11 inches, and I'm going to add 5 inches, okay, depending on what you want. If you want yours freer or fuller, you can do between 5 to 7 inches, but I'm doing 5 inches for mine, and that makes it a total of 16 inches. So I'm going to repeat the same 16 inches on the full length of my dress. And after doing that, I'm going to connect all these points. So from my chest line to my hip line with a slant line, and then from my hip line to the full length of my dress with a straight line. So now to create that bubble effect, okay, on your dress, from my hip line, I'm going to go down. Initially, I went down by 4 inches, but that made my dress a little shorter. So if you don't want yours to be all that short, just go down from your hip line by 2 inches. You can use 1 inch if you want, but I just changed mine to 2 inches, okay, and I connected that with a straight line. So that line below your hip line is where makes the bubble. That's where the elastic band will start from. You can go ahead and label that part, but I didn't. So just have it at the back of your mind that that line is where you're going to attach your elastic band. So next thing I'm going to do is to connect the neckline to the chest line with a curve to form my armhole. After doing this, I realized that it was a bit too straight, so I corrected that. I did some corrections after cutting out my piece. So after doing this, I'm going to cut out my piece and do the correction on the armhole. So the neckline is going to be gathered just like you're seeing this, and the back style line, I'm just going to do that now. So from the neckline, I'm going to come in by half an inch. If you want yours more open and wider, you can do 1 inch, but for me, I did half inch. Okay, so after doing that, from my chest line, I came down by 2 inches and I connected with a curve to the neckline. And I'm going to connect this from this point to what I have here with a curve, of course. So I'm done cutting out my piece, and at this point you can either choose to transfer the back pattern to another fresh pattern paper and cut it out, but I'll be using this pattern paper to cut out both the front and the back piece on my fabric. So next, I quickly did the adjustment on the armhole part. As you can see, I just placed my armhole curve and I adjusted the armhole. You can do the same thing for your pattern paper as well. It helps your armhole sit comfortably around your armpit area. For this dress, I'll be using, I don't know what this fabric is called, but I don't know, but I'll be using this fabric because I mean I like the color, right? And this is so stretchy. I don't know, I just like how it feels. This feels like crepe. So yeah, so the fabric feels like crepe. I think you can use a crepe fabric for this outfit as well. It would work perfectly for this dress. Okay, so I have it in 3 yards, and I'm just going to transfer my pattern paper to the fabric. So first I'm going to cut out the front piece, and then afterwards I'm going to cut out the back piece. And while cutting on the side seams, I'm going to use half an inch seam allowance. On the armhole, I'll be using half an inch seam allowance as well. And on the neckline, I'll be using half an inch seam allowance. After cutting that, on the line where we're going to have our elastic band for the bubble effect, I'm going to give it a notch. Please do not forget to give this part a notch so as to know where to fix your elastic band. You know, it's very important to notch it, okay? So I'm going to give it a notch around that area, and I'm going to open it up and draw a line on that part. I'm going to cut out the back piece as well, and I'm going to do the same thing on the back piece. When cutting out my back piece, I'm going to take out the style line because it's not needed. So I'm going to cut it off and then cut out my back piece. After cutting my fabric, this is what I have for the back piece. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place both my front and the back piece right sides facing, and on the side seam I'm going to stitch it with half an inch seam allowance. So after stitching the side seams, this is what I have. I also went ahead to overlock it with my overlocking machine. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the armhole area and the center back area. So I cut out 3 strips of fabric, and I'll be using that to pipe the armhole area and the center back area. So I'm just going to pipe that neatly and show you what it looks like. So I'm done piping those areas, which is the armhole and the center back area, and you can see how clean and neat it's looking. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the neckline. The neckline is going to be gathered, like I said earlier. But before I do that, I'm going to cut out the strap for the neckline. Now I'm going to be cutting a strap of 64 inches long, and then the width is going to be 5 inches. The length of the band totally depends on what you want. Okay, for me, I'm using 64 inches. Okay, and the width is 5 inches. After cutting out my strap, I'm just going to get the midpoint, okay? And from that midpoint, I'm going to come out by 3.5 inches on the right and 3.5 inches on the left. And together, I have about 7 inches. So I'll gather my front neckline to fit into that 7 inches space. I would also leave about 2 inches space for my shoulder. I'll do the same thing on the other side as well. I'm going to stitch that 2 inches close. Just pay close attention to what I'm doing. And then for the back neckline, I'll be using 2.5 inches. I'm going to gather it up to 2.5 inches, and I'm going to do that on both sides. 2.5 inches on this side as well. So what I'm going to do, this part here, I'm going to leave it open, and then this part here, right here, I'm going to stitch it closed. This part as well, I'm going to stitch this closed. So I'm stitching just these two places closed, and then I'll leave this side open, and then from here I'll stitch the rest of the band closed. I'll show you what it looks like when I do this. Yes, so as you can see, I've already pressed this band. So I have this part opened, and then I have this other part opened as well for the back neckline. So for the front neckline, I've gathered it as you can see, and I'm going to make sure I have up to 7 inches, okay, which is the space we have on our strap. Okay, so I'm just going to put this into the opening we have on the band, and I'm going to top stitch it. I'm going to do the same thing for the back neckline as well. I'm going to gather it up to 2.5 inches. So I'm going to put it into the opening and top stitch it. Yeah, so the next thing I'm going to do is to fix my elastic band, and to determine the length of the elastic band, just take your round hip measurement minus 5 inches. Okay, we want it to be snug. Another way to get the correct measurements for that is to just place the elastic band right around your waist, and then make sure it's a little bit firm. You don't want it too free because it's an elastic, so make sure it's firm and snug. And in my case, I have about 39 inches. My round hip is 44 inches, and I minused 5 inches. I'm just going to cut that out, and I'll fix it on the line we have there. And while attaching the elastic band to your dress, please make sure you stretch as much as possible so that it can fit the entire dress. Okay. So I'm done attaching my elastic band on the wrong side, and you can see what the wrong side looks like, and the right side as well. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to hem the bottom of the dress. I'm going to use my serger to serge the hem and then roll it over with 1/2 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to pass my elastic band through it. Now, to determine the length of the elastic band on the hem, you're just going to take the elastic band and measure round your thigh. In my case, I have about 29 inches, and that's what I'll be using for the hemline. And that's it for this tutorial, guys. You can see how beautiful this dress looks. Let me know in the comments if you'll be recreating this dress. And thanks for watching. If you found this tutorial helpful, kindly like this video, subscribe, and share to support the channel. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.